I'm Sean from Offload Rugby Media.
I'm Simeon from the TikTok Ref.
Guys, I'm Murray, also known as Blissful Rugby HQ.
And you're listening to the Rugby Connection podcast.
For the fans, by fans.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Rugby Connection podcast. You see, lads, I got it right this time. I got it right. Episode 3 of the Rugby Connection podcast. Murray, how are you?
I'm all right. I've had a very stressful week, but I'm all good now. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Thanks for asking. Simeon, I believe you've had a busy week. How are you?
Well, as I said last week, I was only meant to ref one game. I ended up refing 3. Really good weekend. Did my first ever first teams 10s game. Absolutely great atmosphere down at Caerphilly Rugby Club. Caerphilly first against Cantristan first, 55-21 to Caerphilly. Had a yellow card in the first 2 minutes and it felt like the good old days. Lots of running, good rugby. Great to be back in it.
Love to hear it. And actually, I saw a clip and the ground, Caerphilly ground, looks actually pretty nice. You have a bit of a stadium kind of stand there, is it?
Capacity about 3,000-4,000. They had Dragons versus the Blues down there 5 years ago. So it's a good capacity down there.
Oh, that's a nice stadium actually. That's a nice capacity.
It's lovely down to Caerphilly.
I'm sure the atmosphere is buzzing on Cup Day.
It was, yeah, it definitely is.
We'll just crack on. So getting on with the Premiership, lads. You both called it. Quins against Bristol. Quins ran away with it in the end. Lads, what did you think?
The Bears absolutely bottled it. I did say it. Simeon did mention that they peaked too early, and evidently they absolutely did. I mean, 28-0 up at some point, and then, I mean, fair play to the Quins. They've done it all season. They play to the final whistle like you're meant to, but oh my God, like I don't think anyone was expecting that. I mean, 28-0 up, like I said, Bristol. Tyrone Green and Lewis Lynott of the Harlequins just not taking no for an answer. Marcus Smith controlling the game as he always does. Fair play to Bristol though. I will give them credit where credit's due. Charles Piutau is an absolute nuisance. Semi Randrandra, it's just epic. And Max Mellons was just class. He did nothing wrong, but just I don't know what happened at half time. I feel like Quins were like, look, we've still got in this. We've still got the full final whistle to play for. And Pat Lam at Bristol just kind of went, yeah, cool, we'll just do what we're doing. And it just didn't work. But I've never seen a game that exciting go to extra time, especially. So fair play, well done, Harlequins, thoroughly deserved.
Yeah, Simeon.
Yeah, we love to see it, don't we? It's the type of game we love to see. We go for Bristol first. We talk about I think they peaked too early. They peaked too early this season, and in that game. So, a double meaning. I'm kind of proud of that one. But Max Mellons with a hat-trick, you can't ignore it. England can't ignore it. That is, in my opinion, a class England starter for the summer there. Quins just pulling out and doing a victory, getting a good tries in when they could. Started by, I believe, Alex Dombrand, scoring in the corner, making a fantastic run. You can't go wrong with it. It inspires it. I mean, think of big forwards starting comebacks. Scotland against England back a few years ago. Maybe it's a thing, but fair play to Quins. They dug deep, and I know I've got a few mates, my old PE teacher being one of them, who's a massive Quins fan and will be grinning after a game like that. But no, fantastic work to Quins. Do have a little bit of a discussion later on about an interesting last-minute tackle, but we shall come to that. But no, fantastic game. You love to see it. Sean, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I think you both kind of touched on it there. Bristol were a bit sloppy in the second half and they kind of nearly threw it away themselves, really. Like, Quins got that score before half-time, which they dearly needed. But, and I think, like, Bristol, they had some players who stood up, as you said. Max Mellons and Piutau started off the game pretty well. But in terms of comebacks, I would have said, and I actually, when I was watching the highlights, I was thinking, this will look awful like the New England Patriots against the Atlanta Falcons a couple of years ago for those NFL fans. But fair play to Quins, like, what a game. And I'm moving on to the your beloved Exeter lads. What did you think?
Yes. Business as usual. I mean, Sam Simmons wasn't on the scoreboard, but I mean, it just proves how great Exeter were. We didn't really need Sam Simmons. I felt he had quite a quiet game for his standard. But
definitely.
Look, Kevin Dickey, straight off the bat, absolute power. Tom O'Flaherty just having the season of his career, in my opinion. Jack Noel getting 2 tries at fullback. It was his first outing at fullback since the 2019 Prem final, or I call it BH before Hogg. I think that's quite cool and fair play on. And we didn't actually need Stuart Hogg. Shockingly, I thought having Stuart Hogg on the bench was questionable.
What was that, Murray? Sorry, did I hear you correctly? You didn't need Stuart Hogg. The Cornish held it strong for us that
Definitely.
day.
And then Alex Cuthbert got in as well. It's sad to see him leaving at the end of the season, but he still dug in deep. And fair play to Sale as well. Like that Johan van Rensburg is an absolute unit, untouchable. The Dupree brothers just causing so much bother, and you could just see why they're in that South African squad for the summer. Faf doing Faf things. It was going well for them. It just wasn't the right time, is the best way I could put it. Like maybe next year for Sale. I think Alex Anderson is a phenomenal coach, and what he's done in such a short period of time, in such a quick turnaround, is unreal. So Sale definitely one to watch for the future.
I mean, Sale scored 30 points. In a lot of games, that is a win. So you can't complain. I mean, Exeter, at the end of the day, we say Exeter, personally quite happy. All Welsh and Cornish scorers. So I'm not complaining from a personal point of view there. But, I mean, you can't really say much more. Exeter dug deep, they drove well, they pressured well. You saw the tries scored. It was either through pressure, as in they'd intercepted the ball or got space and then pressured by the line like they normally do. Exeter played Exeter's game and they scored a massive number of points for it. He scored 40 points for it. Letting in 30 points defensively against a good attacking Harlequins team next week could be an issue, but then Quins did the same. So, I mean, I think even though as Chiefs fans, would we not just love to see a massively high-scoring final?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sean, what did you think of the Chiefs-Sharks game?
Yeah, I think Simeon said it there. I think, for Sale, like they were good. 30 points, as you said, that's a win. Like, but look, Van Rensburg, he was brilliant. He scored 2 tries, so can't fault them for their effort. And Murray, you said it as well. Maybe next season, and things have really kind of turned around for Sale since Steve Diamond was booted out. So fair play to Anderson. So, but so lads, for the final next week, who do you think is going to win? Simeon, do you want to go for that one first?
I mean, it's kind of a nice one where if Chiefs lose, I will be sad, but Quins would be a worthy one. I wouldn't be annoyed about that. It's not Saracens. But it's a side of London I can support. But I think Chiefs will dig deep. I think they'll dig deep and they will want their third premiership. They will want their hat-trick of premierships. And I think I think it'll be a very high-scoring game. I think we'll be seeing very similar to like 30, 40 points on both sides. But I think Exeter will dig deep and find a way to win that game in the end.
You want to pinpoint a score prediction?
Right, now you're asking. 42-37 to Exeter.
Oh, that sounds like it's going to be a good game, judging by that score. Murray?
In my head, that is a class game and I can't wait.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for Harlequins 42. Chiefs 43. I think it's going to be very, very tight. I got asked this earlier. Actually, funnily enough, somebody asked can Quins bring it home? Like in theory, there's no reason why Harlequins can't. And then I flipped. I was like, but as a Chiefs fan, no, they cannot. It just was a little joke. But then I flipped it back and went as a rugby neutral. It is an absolute tasty game. You can't complain that that's the final. That Harlequins is against Exeter Chiefs. Both two very high scoring teams, very well run. Just a lot of free rugby in a way. There's not much until the Exeter push from a maul or anything that's tactical, but apart from that, it's a lot of loose play. And I think the big selling point for me is Joe Simmons versus Marcus Smith. Two future tens, both players not capped by England. Eddie Jones listening, and I think those two are going to have an absolutely phenomenal game, and one of them, I can't decide which one, is just going to have that little edge over the other one, and I think that could make a big difference in the game.
Yeah, sorry, Timmy, go ahead.
With Marcus Smith and how he plays, if he starts to overplay and potentially lose his head a bit, Simmons is obviously captain. He's so calm and collected that I could see it being Simmons. And I think people look at Marcus Smith and like, here is England's next 10. Well, Simmons is just as good, but good in a completely different way. He's not a highlight reel player, but he gets his points. He's a very good kicker. I just think Simmons is massively underrated. And I personally would like to see him start for England, but that's just a bit extra bias, but I prefer the way he plays.
Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting match within the match, as you said, between the 10s. Definitely. I think actually I'm going to go against you, and I'm going to say Quins are going to win. Now, I don't know whether they will or not, but if I was to put a score on it, I'm going to say Quins 32, Exeter 25. There we go.
I don't like that.
I mean, if that happens, fair play. Like, obviously, either team that win it as rightful champions is not gonna.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But we've got a surprise winner in the finals this weekend, haven't we, lads?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't think it was a surprise. I mean, so I know I said 1 point, but I was still right. Benetton got us home. They won the game. I mean, for Italian, like, very briefly on the game, they mauled well. They played their game and they brewed with confidence and form. Can't really take anything away from them. But for Italian rugby, what a place to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, the future is bright, and especially that the Treviso coach is now becoming the Italian head coach, like, basically from now. Like, I'm actually worried about Italy for, like, especially next season's Six Nations, and you should be. Like, Italy have some great players. Granted, they haven't been doing great, but they were riddled with injuries this year. Like, I read the squad when it came out, and there was nobody in it, and they were all injured or suspended. And
exactly,
it sucks. But just imagine, I'm just going to drop some names here. So, like, imagine, like, Poedri, Stephen Varney, Paolo Garbisi, Montana Ioane, Negri, yeah, thank you. And, what's his name? The Wasps fullback, plays for Italy.
Oh, Minozzi,
Thank you. Matteo Minozzi, yeah. I generally drew a blank there. But, yeah, just I'm just dropping some names there. That's
and Carlo Canna, I mean, another good player.
I don't rate Carlos Canna, but he does do the job as well when required.
I like him at 12. He's consistent. He gets it done. Gets the job done.
But there you go. That's not even a full squad, and that's terrifying to go against.
Exactly. If you can get an Italian team, no injuries, be worried.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what everyone wants, is just for Italy to get better and put it up to a couple of teams in the Six Nations, you know. And wouldn't it be great, you know, that he signed on for another year in Toulon? If Sergio Parisse came back, you know, wouldn't that just be a perfect story, you know?
It wouldn't even be a surprise.
Probably not. But, you know, whether Crowley would pick him, though, that's another question.
But honestly, like, fair play to Treviso. Like, in the regular Pro 14 season, 0 wins, absolutely written off every week. And then the Rainbow Cup gets introduced, and it was just like a whiff of fresh air for them, and everything just started clicking. They were getting big wins. They got wins against Connacht, against Glasgow. Obviously, they didn't get to play the Ospreys because of COVID, which got them to the final. Sorry, and the Bulls. I mean, look at the team that the Bulls have for the regular season in the Rainbow Cup: Mornay Stain, Dwan Vermaelen, Roscoe Speckman. Like, unreal, like, proper world class players. Granted, none of them played, and I'm not taking that one away from Treviso, because you can't. You do play with what's in front of you.
Exactly.
Like, I was expecting a close game, because I feel like South African teams, they try and just, like, kill the game and, like, use forwards as a great structure, and it does work for the most part. But Treviso were just having none of it, and I think the fact that it was in Treviso, there wasn't full capacity, obviously, but there was some fans there. I think that just made it so much more special. And, like, Montana Ioane scoring in the first 5 minutes. Again, he does that so many times, and nobody stops him.
Exactly.
It's terrifying, but honestly, deserving champions. I put it on my Instagram, ultimate underdogs. And who doesn't love an underdog story in sport? Everyone does.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
What was I going to say there, lads? Yeah, the Bulls, in fairness, well, not in fairness, but they seem to make a lot of mistakes. A couple of high tackles given away, and then obviously for that second try, it was just a poor pass there on their own 5 meter line, and then Benetton pounced on it. I think, is that correct, or I think that happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, something along those lines. Anyway, definitely.
Yeah,
But it was just, I just feel like the Bulls had nothing to answer for.
yeah.
No,
For
it's like, yeah, you play what's in front of you, but you've still got a squad of professional rugby. Like, okay, maybe you thought they've dropped a few players, the scoreline would be close, but maybe Benetton would win then when you sort of teamed. But no one expected that, even against the not full capacity Bulls team. It's just good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said earlier, Simon, it is fantastic for Italian rugby, and what a send off for the coach and Jane Hayward as well. Like, he's leaving as well. I don't know where he's away. Yeah, apparently that was his last game. So
always liked Jaden Hayward as a player. I thought he's been a big fast fullback.
Yeah.
Murray.
Thank you.
Hayward, he played well on the weekend as well, didn't he? So that's a bit of a scalp for them. Murray, the Super Rugby Trans-Tasman final was on at the weekend. Do you want to take us through that?
Yes. So the Blues, they finally done it. 18 long years of not winning a trophy, and they done it 23-15 to the Blues at Eden Park. So it was on home turf. Like, well done, well deserved. Unbelievable try as well. There was a crossfield kick from a Tory Black. I can't hammer home enough how much I love a Tory Black as a 10. He just does everything right. But just because he is New Zealand, he will not get a look in at the national squad. But that tells you how good the depth is in New Zealand, like how frightening that is.
Yeah.
But honestly, nothing will take that away from the Blues. I was absolutely phenomenal. I know there was a big hit in it from Lee Dixon of the Highlanders, that Simeon will go into.
Yeah.
But I don't think that affected the game at all. Like, as soon as we knew the Crusaders couldn't go into the final, I was like, the Blues are wanting this. The Ioane brothers, Hoskins Tutu, Ettore Black, Finlay Christie, they all had a phenomenal games, and I was actually really happy to watch the Blues win, because obviously growing up watching Super Rugby, it was very Crusader dominated, and not like that was a bad thing, but it's kind of like when you see Leinster winning everything up here, it does get a bit stale after that. Like, come on, is there no one that can compete against them? And now, yes, there is, because the Blues are back in business, and rightfully so. So yeah,
great to see. And Sean, would you like to cover your top 14 and your sevens?
Yeah, so in the top 14, the two semi-finals were on at the weekend. Toulouse against Bordeaux, probably the better of the two games. 24-21 win to Toulouse. That was, look at Entimac. He opened the scoring after, I think, 4 minutes? With a lovely try. Dupont, he tried to clear it from his own 22. It was partially blocked, and then they played it from there all the way 60 metres up the pitch. It was a great start for Toulouse. And then Ben Lam, he capitalised with 2 tries of his own for Bordeaux, which, they brought themselves back in the game. And in fairness, they stayed in the game. But then in the second half, 57 minutes, Bordeaux conceded a red card, which, pretty much, killed them, as...
I've actually seen this red card. You saw it. What did you think, briefly? Was it deserved?
I'm trying to remember it, actually. No, I can't remember, to be honest, so I'm going to be honest here.
I'll have to make a TikTok on it. I'll go and find it.
Yeah, so make sure to be checking tabs on at the TikTok ref over the next couple of days.
For the random French red card at the end of the game no one heard of.
Yeah, no one on this side of the water anyway.
You mentioned Ben Lam there, and obviously he was a big unit in Super Rugby for the past few seasons. I keep forgetting he's moved over to Europe.
Yeah. And me, he never even played for the All Blacks.
No.
Yeah.
Never used. Wasted talent.
He's been very quiet since he's moved over to France, definitely, hasn't he?
Has he struggled, or just because not many, like, in the UK and Ireland, really talk about top 14?
Yeah.
For the most part, really.
Yeah, I think he's kind of been middling. It's not like he hasn't had like a breakaway season where he's been like, up there with the top scorers. I think he's probably struggling is probably a little bit, fair enough. Like, but Yeah, he just even for me, he's just been completely under the radar. And as you said, he's just one of those names that you recognize. But then when it comes to the matches, sometimes he could be very quiet.
Yeah, definitely. And Ronan O'Gara's La Rochelle has pulled out magic again, so I hear.
Yes, 19-6 win against Racing, which is another big win. Racing were in good form.
I mean, they've just defended against Racing. They've not let Racing, Finn Russell's team, score a try.
Yeah.
That is good to see.
Yeah, that's a tough job to do. Like Racing's attack is on fire, and obviously their defense is, a bit iffy at times. But man, it takes a lot to, not let Racing score, as you said, Simeon. But I think there was only one try in the game. I think it came after 28 minutes. Doolan, he put a little chip in for the first try, and that was that really. La Rochelle, they just kept ticking over the 3 points. Racing were a bit indisciplined, and that was it. And now we get to see a rematch of the Champions Cup final now, Toulouse against La Rochelle once again. So that would be an interesting one, especially because La Rochelle were not kind of robbed in the Champions Cup, but we all know what happened there anyway.
I actually think that the roles are going to be swapped this time. I think La Rochelle's going to win the top 14.
Yeah,
I think they will. Yeah.
I love. There's so many players that are at La Rochelle that, like I said, like with Ben Lam being at Bordeaux, I was not aware until you watch them play, like Tawira Kerbarlow at 9, Ania West, Will Skelton, Lavani Botia, Doolan, Raymond Rule. Like I love watching Raymond Rule.
Number 8.
Gregory Aldridge. Yeah, I knew Gregory Aldridge was it because obviously it comes up in the Six Nations, like Club La Rochelle.
Oh yeah.
But like the big, like Southern Hemp, just delete that. A minute, just cue me back in.
Yeah, all right.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, so like I knew that Aldrit was obviously at France and La Rochelle because it comes up like Club France, La Rochelle in the Six Nations.
Yeah.
But the big Southern Hemisphere players, like I mentioned, like Kerbarlow, Ania West, Will Skelton, and Raymond Drill especially, I did not know they were at La Rochelle, and oh my, it is so enjoyable to watch when I get the time to watch La Rochelle play. And fair play on O'Gara, whatever he's brought in from being at clubs around the world, it's definitely working, and I strongly suggest they keep a tight hold of him, because as soon as he's a free agent, everyone's going to want him.
Yeah, definitely.
So lads, I was just going to say La Rochelle, obviously they were brilliant, and Simon, you were saying, when Ronan O'Gara's term finished with La Rochelle, everyone's going to want to snap him up. Could be one for the Ireland job, especially after the World Cup. You never know. But so Simeon, what do you think of La Rochelle's rise?
I think it's been faster than Exeter's. If they win this, it is faster than Exeter's rise. So why not? I reckon they'll do it. I think they'll want that revenge. I think they'll want the win. I think they'll be more disciplined this time. I think they'll have learned from their mistakes. And I'm going to go with 23-16 to La Rochelle.
Ooh, I'd like to hear that. That could be another good game. I was actually just going to say, lads, the La Rochelle have only come up to the top 14. Was it only 7 years ago? So, I
didn't even think it was that many. I think it was less than 7.
Okay, wow. Fair play to them. They've really come big, in a short period of time.
Definitely.
Absolutely. They're just so I've said this already, but they're just so enjoyable to watch. And again, it's kind of like another underdog story. Like obviously Toulouse, big European powerhouse, win the French league for fun at some point. And now here comes maybe the changing of the guard. Maybe this could be a new dominant era for La Rochelle. But who knows?
But speaking of Rowan O'Gara, the Ireland Sevens.
Yes,
I like that.
Yes, so we qualified for the Olympics today in the Repechage in Monaco. Yeah, I'm delighted. I'm
happy for you.
Yes, we had 2 big wins against Zimbabwe and Mexico and Tonga in the group stages. Tonga, they had Fekitoa, but all their players are basically 15s players. They couldn't keep up, especially fitness wise. Jordan Conroy was absolutely gassing them on the outside. And then today we had 3 pretty convincing wins. Well, not convincing, but good wins against 21-17 against Samoa. Fair play to Samoa. They were doing all right. And Samoa, in fairness to them, we only beat Mexico 31-0. I think they put like 60 points on Mexico. Like Samoa sevens are doing all right. Yeah,
Oh my God.
in sevens, yeah, that's like, jeez, they're still obviously flourishing from the Gordon Tidgens era down in Samoa. But yeah, so then we had a 28-5 win against Hong Kong in the semifinals, and then a lovely, which was sweet to watch, 28-19 victory against the French in the final. Yeah, I can't say too much more. It's great. France, in fairness to them, they're a solid team in the World Series. They're not up there with the South Africans and the Fijis, but they're still pretty good, and I'm delighted. The seventh series, the seventh program in Ireland has only been up and running since 2015, really professionally. So,
wow.
Yeah, well,
I think that's an incredible story as well. Then,
Definitely.
Another small underdog story, which I think is a bit of a theme today.
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it?
Ireland for the gold. There you go. Why not?
We'd love to see that. That would be
interesting to see.
Yeah, and I think we can put it up to some of these bigger teams. We put it up to GB, and we won the international sevens in GB, and so
nice.
I'll take that one up on you.
Yeah, because it's like building up to the Olympics. It's not Team Scotland, England, Wales this year. It's Team GB, isn't it? For the most part. Yeah.
Can we actually talk about that for a second? Because I want to say that I personally, as an outsider looking in, obviously I want your perspective on it because you live in the UK. But as an outsider looking in, I think the fact that they only have 12 places for 3 nations for the squad for the GB, I think it's a bit like harsh on some of these elite athletes who want a chance to play in the Olympics. You're cutting 36 places down to 12. Is that right? Is my maths right?
Yeah, but pretty much. Yeah, it's we'll get on to a minute of Lions, but it's harsher than the Lions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably say it's harsher than the Lions. I mean, you've got players who play 15s who sometimes come into sevens for big tournaments. So Commonwealth Games, Justin Tipperick and Hallam Amos came into the Wales Sevens team to do that, and it's an interesting one. Whenever the last Olympics was, there was more names I recognised, but there's less of that this time. But I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing GB. I mean, it's a good squad, and I think they'll do a good job out there.
Yeah, I'm with Simeon on that. I mean, I'm not a big sevens watcher. I can watch it. I do enjoy watching the sevens. I did see the Team GB squad announcement the other day, and Max McFarlane of Scotland was a big standout for me. So well done to him. And I know that on the women's side, Lisa Thompson of Scotland is on the
reserves.
Yeah.
And then
I'm almost convinced, is Rona Lloyd on the Scotland squad?
No, there's only Lisa Thompson's the only woman in the GB, the only Scottish woman in the GB squad. And then Jazz Joyce, the Welsh speedster, massively deserves to be there. So glad to see her back in that team. She was so good in the last Olympics, scoring loads of tries. Really happy to get that one Welsh represented in that women's. That's the issue, like we're talking about with Gemma before. That's where the professionalism of England is. And then you've got Scotland and Wales, you get one player in. But I think you kind of got to say that's fair enough because they're all professionals and they're the only 2 players from Wales and Scotland who can get a look in. So fair play to them, though, for getting the look in.
Yeah. I had a quick look at the GB men's team, and one name who I expected to see, to be honest, was Luke Trahan from Wales. He's a pretty big player for Wales. And
I know. I was sad not to see him.
Yeah.
He's been there he's literally been there for years.
Yeah.
But maybe before he was too old, maybe he didn't have enough of a good season. But it's been a hard one for COVID. So what can you say? What can you say? But on from GBs and Ireland apart, let's bring them together for the British and Irish Lions. Sean.
Sure, yeah. So this week we're doing our match 15s. We're going to be picking our 15, and I believe we're doing bench as well for the test against Japan. So
yes, sure. And I will be covering the best I can for that game. I've been lucky enough, my ticket's valid. It is unfortunate that we're not getting a full crowd, but it is the biggest crowd in the COVID era, I think it's been dubbed as. So yeah. I'm happy for it. And if anyone's going, remember, give me a wave. I'll try and say hi. Remember, I will have a mask on though. But Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait. I think something we've all been needing. We just need the
Yes,
Lions
definitely.
to be
We need
playing.
this.
Yeah.
But we have done a few rules regarding the match day 23 that we've pulled up against Japan. So
before anyone shouts at us, these are
Yes.
the very specific rules for only the Japan game before anyone starts calling us idiots.
Yes, this is not like our first test 15. This is just pure for the
Japan.
Japan game. Yes. So there is no Saris or Finn. This is purely because, retrospectively, XR Chiefs are, as we've already spoke about, are in the Premiership final next week, which is the same day as the Lions in Japan, and I can't see them getting released. Like, I know they've been given the green light to be released for Lions duty, but I think the players that are in the Chiefs squad, so Luke Cowan-Dickey, Sam Simmons, Johnny Hill, and Stuart Hogg, are going to want to get this job done for XR and then focus on Lions duty. I think that's just the kind of players they are. Saracens players, again, also haven't been with the Lions in Jersey because they've been focusing on the Championship playoffs, which they absolutely dominated, 117-15 over the two legs.
I mean,
fair play Saracens.
Yeah,
So,
you're hardly gonna. It's. I mean, well done, Saracens, for beating a semi-professional team. Well done, Saracens.
But yeah, so that's why Saracens players are not in. So again, no Owen Farrell, no Maro Toji, no Jamie George, no Elliot Daly. It's the same for the Exeter Chiefs. And Finn Russell is still in France with Racing 92. Granted, they did get beat by La Rochelle, but I think he gets a few days off. I think that's just Racing's policy. And then he'll probably join up with the squad this week. So Finn could make an appearance, maybe coming off the bench, but I wouldn't like put money on it so you're not overly disappointed. But let's get straight into the match day 23. Right, so we're going to do it differently. Sean, you start with your front three, then Simeon's front three, then my front three. So you're not getting the full squad. We're just going to do it bit by bit. Sean, you start.
Yeah, so from my front row, I had Wyn Jones, Ken Owens, and Tyke Furlong.
Well, I've gone for a bit more pace because it's Japan. Roy Sutherland, Ken Owens, Tyke Furlong.
Same with Simeon. I'm the exact same as Simeon on that one. Right, so second row.
I went for Henderson and Alan Wyn Jones.
My Ulster boy Henderson has to be in there, and Alan Wyn Jones as well as captain, obviously.
It's 3 for 3.
Oh,
Alan
yes.
Wyn Jones and Ian Henderson as well.
That's a nice coup there.
I feel like this is where it might get a bit different now.
Very possibly, yes. In the back row, now, in fairness, there was some tough choices in terms of back row and for the bench. So this was tough. So I went with Tyke Byrne at 6, Hamish Watson at 7, and Talupe Faletau at 8.
Okay.
Fair. I want to see Tiprick at 6. I want to see if they can do Tiprick and Watson. And I think they should try in the Japan thing. So going Tiprick, Watson, Faletau.
Simeon. 2 minds, man. Like I've literally wrote down Tipperick 6.
We've got the same pack. Yeah.
Me and you've got the same pack.
Right. Brilliant.
So hopefully the bench liven things up a bit. Sean, who's your halfback pairing?
I went with Murray and Bigger.
Okay.
I think they're going to need pace. I'm going Gareth Davis and Bigger. Keep it familiar. They know each other.
We've done it differently. I've gone for Ali Price and Dan Bigger. I think Ali Price again with the pace, but it's Murrayfield. Yeah, I just want to see an extra Scotsman in there. So
fair enough.
Who is your centre partnership, Sean?
I went with Henshaw and Harris.
Snap, Henshaw and Harris. I think it's the right way to go for this game.
3 for 3.
He'd love to see it.
Yeah, I've been banging on this since like the Six Nations. I want Robbie Henshaw and Chris Harris as centre partnership, not just for this Japan game. Like I want that against South Africa. So there's a little thing.
Good defence and good attack.
Absolutely.
Defensively that is solid for against South Africa. Attack wise, they're both big. They're both good runners, aren't they?
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Sean, who's your? We'll go for back 3.
Yep, I went with Josh Adams, Louis Rees-Zammit, and Stuart Hogg at fullback.
You went for Stuart Hogg?
Sorry. Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot he played for Exeter.
Disqualified.
I'll just throw in Daly there. I'll put Daly there. Okay.
Saracens, try again.
Oh damn it! Damn it. That's who else do I have?
You could have Liam Williams. You could have Anthony Watson.
Yeah, I'll put Liam Williams there. Reluctantly, I'll put Liam Williams.
There we go. So Josh Adams, Lucy Samet, and Liam Williams is Sean's official one against Japan.
There we got there in the end.
Simeon, how about you?
I think we need those. I think we need to have some unexperienced wickets. Obviously, I know Adams is like the one I'm saying for the starting, but he is on my bench. I think you need to do Van der Merwe and Zamet. You've got to try it, and then Liam Williams to keep him together at fullback as the experienced head and all that.
Simeon, have you been reading my notes?
Did you write the same thing again?
I wrote Duhan van der Merwe and Lucy Samet quite easily because I keep calling them power and pace, and grudgingly I wrote Liam Williams at fullback because everyone knows.
The only difference is scrum after us.
Yeah, pretty much.
Brilliant. So as collectively, we make a good Lions coaching team because we basically all agree.
We've basically just agreed, yeah. It's all pretty much the same anyway, for the most part.
Except for me, I wouldn't make a good Lions coach. I wouldn't know what players are eligible or not, or what players are available.
Right, now we've got the bench to deal with, lads. So you want to just go for the whole bench?
Yeah, go on, bench at a time. Yeah, go on.
Right, go on, Sean.
I went with Kelleher at 16 because obviously I don't really know of any other hooker that's available. So
yeah,
can I explain my amazing theory I've come up with today?
Yeah, go on, Simeon. Go on.
So, all right, we've seen Kelleher is not a tourist, but he's training with the Lions, and I'm certain Gatland's gone. Saris could be in that. Or they knew Saris were going to be there, and they're like Exeter could be in the final. So you've lost both your hookers, so you're only left with Ken Owens, who you have to by law have a replacement hooker in the squad. So they've put him as not a tourist, but he is training with the Lions. So he's not going to South Africa. He's going to play a game for the Lions and then go back to the Ireland squad. And I think that's exactly what Gatland's done there, and he will be on the bench. Mark my words, second week going, mark my words, Kelleher will be on the bench for the Lions next week.
Well, I never discussed this with you. I did write down Kelleher on my bench, just a little spoiler for my bench. I did put Kelleher down, and then I was thinking along those same lines, Simeon, that you're firing home that he's not an official tourist, and the word tourist keeps sticking out because technically Murrayfield is a home game because it's home soil. So yeah, I think very, very sneaky by Warren Gatland on that. Anyway, we'll get back onto that shortly. Sean, continue with your bench. So we've got Ronan Kelleher.
Then I went for Sutherland and Fagerson, and then I went with Laws. And then at 20, it was either a toss-up for me between Conan and Tipuric. I think Conan fits the 20 shirt very well, but obviously I love Justin Tipuric as well. I wouldn't want to keep him out of the match day 23, so it was a bit of a toss-up there. And then at sub-scrum half, I went with Ali Price. Again, it's sort of a bit of a toss-up for me with Gareth Davies as well. I'm a big fan of him as well, but I like Ali Price as well. And then originally I had Daly on the bench, but obviously he's ineligible.
No.
So I put Duhan van der Merwe in there along with Bundyaki at 23. Obviously, that's not ideal, having two kind of big men. And then obviously... Stuart Hogg, or not Stuart Hogg, damn it, he's not even there. I was going to say, because I had Stuart Hogg originally at 15, that he could be the cover for 10, but obviously he's not going to be there now. So obviously Murray is a bit of a cover there, probably. So yeah, that's my bench there.
So Simon, what's your bench?
So mine, again, we've discussed Kelleher, Wyn Jones, Ferguson, Courtney Laws. I've put Tom Curry in there. I just think he's a bit of a different flanker to potentially bring in, and he's covered 8 before, so I've Callum in there. Ali Price. I've put Aki in, but if for whatever reason they need Finn Russell to come as a replacement 10 last minute, it'll be Russell. If not, I think Liam Williams could be a potential 10 cover if they have to. And then 23, Josh Adams, because he can cover the whole back three.
Okay, so we're actually different big time for the bench.
Okay, so that's good. We've got the starting 15, but as a Lions collective, we'd have a completely different bench. Brilliant.
So my bench is Kelleher at hooker. I've got Wyn Jones and Xander Fagerson as the prop replacements. I've put Courtney Laws in as second row, and I've got Tyg Byrne because he can cover the back row as well.
Yeah.
I've got Conor Murray on my bench because we don't have a 10, and I feel like Conor Murray could play 10. Like, he does do kicking sometimes for Munster, so
Yeah.
I've gone for Bundyaki as well. But to specialise for back three, and I think you could even slot him at centre if it was really required. Not just for this game, I mean just in general. Anthony Watson.
I think he's played 13, but I swear I've seen him play 13 somewhere.
Yeah, he has.
There we go then. So there's my...
Yeah, I think the bench just confirmed that, it was getting a bit interesting there at times that, we might have been thinking that maybe you were long lost brothers there, lads. So,
I know. The Scottish Welsh there.
Yeah. The literal connection there, the rugby connection there.
Yeah. The connection's coming with a Rugby Connection podcast to you.
I just want to confirm that me and Simeon have not discussed that at all. That wasn't pre-planned. I didn't just throw in one change just to be different. I wrote it down and I said to him, I think I've got it clamped down. So that means if it is, Simeon's pretty much got it clamped down as well. So
exactly. Exactly. Because I literally said to you, I'm refusing to tell you. I said it to you earlier, I'm not telling you I think. I'd save it for the pod. Now, lads, score predictions.
Oh, well, so Japan actually they did put 30 on the Sunwolves. It was 32-17 though.
They struggled. They were down at half time.
Yeah. I don't know if that's just because they used a lot of the new caps, because they did bring in 13 uncapped players for the squad. So I don't know if that was just give them a run out. But if that's the case, I feel like the Lions might just run away with it. I hope they don't. I do want it to be a good competitive game, because Japan are an amazing team and probably the best team that don't get watched as often.
Exactly, yeah.
In my opinion, if that makes sense. So I'm going to say 42 for the Lions. I feel like once they start finding a rhythm, it's just going to click. 42-21. There we go. 42-21 Lions. Okay. And I will be covering bits. I will try and do a little thing for the show if I'm sober enough.
Brilliant. Sean?
I think it kind of depends on the weather, because I think if it's a drier day, I think Japan can probably put it up more to the Lions. I think, if you get me, I think the Lions can probably...
This is Scotland we're talking about.
Hey.
True, yeah, it's only summer in Scotland. What does that mean? A lot of rain, does it? No, sorry.
I mean, you're from Wales, I mean, it rains all the time there.
It rains, yeah, but we get the heat at least. We get the heat still, because we're south.
No, I think if it's a drier day, I think Japan can probably put more points on the board. I think it probably will be close. I can see, Murray, your outcome coming through, where the Lions do kind of click and kind of just see tries after tries, but I think it probably could be closer than that for me. So I'm going to say 28-20 to the Lions.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I like that.
Okay. All right, Sammy.
I'm going on the facts of what Sean said, and it's going to be, I think Japan will score 4 tries. I think they'll still get a load of tries, but I think they'll miss 2 conversions. So I'm going 24 to Japan, and I think I reckon last 20 minutes they've got new caps who won't be as fit as their other team. Last 20 minutes they'll start running away with it, the Lions. I'm going to go 52. So 52-24 to the Lions.
Oh, okay. So yeah, big scoring or nicely contested. I think Japan, people keep sleeping on Japan. Michael Leach, obviously, is a great captain. Yo Tamara is an amazing 10. Very underutilized.
The winger.
Yeah, massive. Well, he's fullback as well, so there you go. But
wherever he is, yeah.
Tearing it up at Claremont.
Yeah.
Is it Lolecki? I think I'm Lilecki. I think I've pronounced that wrong, but big ball carrying winger. He's absolutely unreal. He's definitely fun to watch. There's just so much talent in that Japan squad that nobody talks about, and it's just purely because we don't get to see Japan play as often.
Exactly.
So just to put out there, don't be surprised if Japan do beat the Lions. It is possible.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't doubt. I know I'm saying it's a big scoreline, but I'm saying it is possible. I'm not denying Japan. I just think the Lions will do better.
Yeah, that's fair.
Absolutely fair. Yeah. I was just going to say that, Murray, you're going to the game, which I'm very jealous of. To the listeners out there, to the listeners out there, I actually had tickets. I bought them in November. I was so excited, but then obviously, unfortunately, due to travel restrictions, I cannot go. But listeners, if you're listening to this, how long are we? We're probably about 45 minutes in the episode. Comment boo-hoo for Sean to make sure that you're sad for Sean, so that way we know. We know that you're feeling sorry for me and Simeon. All right.
I didn't book tickets, but I will be sat at Caerphilly Rugby Club with a pungs or two on the line and the Chiefs. So it'll be a good day all around.
Brilliant.
So I'll be having a few pints at the pub in Edinburgh before the game. Maybe sober up during the game. I don't really drink at the stadium because it's too expensive. But no, I'll try and focus on the game. I love watching. I mean, we all love watching rugby. Let's be honest. And then come home, watch the Premiership final, or even highlights of the Premiership final, and just have more drinks. I think that's my plan.
Murray, 4 more months, and I will be joining you for those days.
Yes, there we go. 4 more months. Well, it is a little bit sad for me as well because it was going to be the first game for 3 generations. Obviously I'm going with my dad, and I was going to take my little boy. Because of the COVID restrictions, it's no children under the age of 14, so he's not allowed to go.
Sad times.
It does suck, but I understand why. Like, it is out of their control. But I mean, he is too young. He'll probably not remember it anyway. So, but yeah.
Yeah, you'll bring him to a Scotland game anyway, no doubt, in the future.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. He's already got like a season pass sorted. So
brilliant. Fair play to him. So now are we going to move on to some refereeing decisions, Simeon?
Well, refereeing this weekend was we had a few three decisions here, and I had 3 decisions in my game. Nice little overlap of the number 3. But we started off, I believe Sean's going to get pictures up of the Bristol and Harlequins game. Now, I'll let pause. So, in this game, we had an incident at the very end during extra time. Harlequins scored a try. Wayne Barnes heard someone on TMO, picked someone up, brought it back to when and TMO'd it. Now, we had a high tackle. Well, I'm going to go wide. They said it was a legal tackle. And my opinion is that it wasn't. But, obviously, the referee's perception is the end of the game. But how I thought it went is it was a high tackle. Neither player was lowered. The tackle was never lowered. And he made shoulder-to-shoulder contact. I know some of the images look like he made direct head contact. If you watch really slow replay, he hits the shoulder, and I don't even think he ever hits the head. Like in that picture there, that I believe is just a shoulder. So in the new laws, that's yellow card, in my opinion. That's what we're looking at for a yellow card. And I think it should have been a yellow card to Harlequins and tried it allowed. At the end of the day, Harlequins won the game still, and I think they still would have won the game even if they had that yellow card. And at the end, I think there was so much in it. Blaz, what do you think of that, briefly?
I think I'm with you. I would have said it did make head contact, but because his arms are wrapped, it's still a yellow card. So my punishment doesn't change on that end. But I did watch the game, and obviously when you have all the highlights and replays and angles, it does look like there was shoulder to the jaw line area. But
yeah, it's hard to see. There's not clear images. On that note, very quickly with law, if your arms are still trying to wrap but you still hit someone in the air, that's still a red card.
Right, okay. Noted.
Yeah, that's no mitigation because you're still high.
So basically, if you're going to hit someone's head, that just may as well not wrap, then it makes no difference.
Well, unless you want longer suspension.
Yeah.
No, because if you just plead, if you just agree, you get a lesser punishment. I've heard about this.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I'm not disciplinary.
I would say that's a yellow card, just because where the contact was made, but he did wrap. So yeah, Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm with you both. I think it's always a yellow card. If you're going that high, it's nearly always a yellow. You got to just get lower. And even I think in real time, I think it was kind of one of those ones that if it was just a regular game down at your local club, probably wouldn't have even been a penalty, possibly. It's one of those ones where it's kind of like in between. It's like it looks like it might not have been even have been a penalty, could have been a red card, but obviously, I mean, you said it was a yellow, and I agree, it was definitely a yellow. Look shoulder to shoulder, no complaints there.
I think I noticed it as well from my experience refereeing this weekend. I always had a few yellow cards. I had a yellow card in the first 2 minutes of the first game of the season. That yellow card I gave when I last refereed would have been a penalty at most. It was how the laws have changed. I mean, this guy hit someone around the neck with their forearm in the tackle when going to wrap. The player lowered a bit, but he still was never low. The tackle was never low enough, so it was a yellow card for sure. But it was something. The laws have massively changed, and I just referee. It was very interesting to do.
I can't hammer this home enough. Just please don't yellow card me if you ever referee one of my games when you move up.
I'll be polishing them beforehand.
Right.
So then we have Manitou Alanyi against Chapstick in the Exeter Sale game. Now, this was the decision I think was correct this weekend. Tuolangi is going low enough, and Chapstick's also dipping. But it's hard with the arm. It's a bit loose. It's a bit swinging. It's again referee perception. So if you said it's loose, it may be penalty, yellow card. Swinging, you could even say red because it's direct head contact. But I think there is enough mitigation and lowering. But that was a yellow card and a deserved yellow card. You've got to be, yes, you've got to go for the wrap, but you've got to be controlled. You've got to control your actions in the game, and you can't. It's not. You look at that. His shoulder's nowhere near him, so the arm is always swinging a bit. So I think you got it right. Yellow card. I don't. Yeah, if you look at that image, his shoulder's not close enough to the Chapstick to make a good effective hit. So he's swinging too much of his arm to attempt to make a wrap. So again, I can't prove intent, but it didn't seem intentional. He was trying to wrap, but he just was in the wrong position, wrong time, wrong place, and he just caught him in the head, and it looked swinging. So I think yellow was the correct decision.
I mean, that picture there that we're all looking at, I'm just calling that a classic Tuolangi hit. Not just Manu, Alisana, Henry as well. Like, they all do it. I think that's just how they're taught to put the hits in. Is just exactly what we're looking at here. And obviously, just because of the rules, and obviously, I did hit Richard Chapstick's face as a yellow card. But again, he did go low. He did obviously go for the low tackle. It's just that loose arm. And yeah, it's just typical. Welcome back, Manu. Here's a yellow card. There you go.
Exactly. We love to see it. Sean.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think always a yellow. I think it's just Tuolangi way is just go hard or go home. So I think that's just what he was getting himself into there.
I mean, yeah,
that's it.
We don't love to see it, but we love to see it.
Yeah.
And on to what the Wales Online, and I found it in most reliable source going. Wales Online said it was just a ridiculous statement they put out, going he go to prison or something for this, but it was it was some very strange headline, but it was direct shoulder to head contact. Look at the player. The Highlanders player is never going low. There is no wrap there. Yes, the Blues player was lowering a bit, but you've got no wrap, going high, direct shoulder to head. There wasn't enough mitigation. That should have been a red card. I think we can pretty much agree on that, guys.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm saying it's a red card because that is my boy. That is a Tory Black getting hit. I'm not pleased. Just based on that alone, that is a red card. But no, I totally agree with you. I mean, I'll give Lee Dixon his due. As soon as the referee came and spoke to him, he went over and apologised to Tory. He apologised to the ref. It was very accepting and fair play. He owned up to it straight away. It was given as a yellow. I think just the way you look, obviously, when you look at it in real time compared to highlights or replays or photos as we're doing, it's hard to make a full decision because obviously the referee's on pressure as well. But I mean, you see it as clear as day. His arms down, pretty much down at his side, and the shoulder right into Tory Black's face. So I'd agree with Simeon. It should have been a red. But I mean, like I said earlier in my review, it didn't make much of a difference. The boys were still victorious. It didn't affect the game at all. So
Exactly.
there you go.
I think briefly from this, I said it in all my pre-talks this week. Go low. And I in my pre-talk, I went, we've got Welsh Rugby COVID laws and we've got World Rugby making laws harsher. I was like, you've all watched Six Nations. You've all watched how much red cards become easier now to give. Go low. And I would like to, if you go high, expect a card. And I said that straight to him because that's how the laws are after. And anyone who might listen to IREF or if anyone who you play rugby, just go low because I've had three yellows in 3 games first weekend back. So just make sure we get those tackles low, keep it safe. We don't want players getting concussed. We don't want players getting injured. I said, you might want to smash that man in front of you, but do it legally and it'll be so much better. There'll be less consequences.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well said, Simeon. Well said. I believe you've got a question for us.
We do.
Week.
We had
your question this week.
Loads of questions tonight, which is great to see. Now, on the Lions theme, all the other questions I'm going to try and answer on my own account because there's some fantastic questions. But we've got a question, and I hope I'm saying it right, from Ashlyn. So, in our opinion, who didn't earn their place in the Lions squad this year, and why? And do you think those players got on past performances? Sean?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, off the top of my head, I think there's a couple. I think Conor Murray is probably one of them. I personally probably wouldn't have brought him just based on form. I think he hasn't been in good form at all since I don't even know how long. I think it's been a while since he's been at top form.
Yeah.
But I still think he's a good player, and I still think if he can find his form, maybe his 2018 form, he would be a great scrum half. I think. It's a bit of a common one, but I think possibly Owen Farrell as well. I don't think he wasn't that great in the Six Nations. He's a solid player, I think, and he's a great leader, and he deserves a starting place for England. But the Lions is another kettle of fish. But look, I'd still bring him either way. But I think that's one that he probably was brought based on past performance. Is there anyone else? Possibly Liam Williams. Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think Liam Williams, and then maybe Daly, but Daly's a great player. He has a lot of skills.
Yeah.
I never actually knew. I'll answer it in a minute. I never actually knew that the Liam Williams thing triggered me that much. I got asked it in like a Q&A on my videos in the week, like your least favorite player, and I was just like, oh well, I'll keep it brief. And I was like, Liam Williams, and as soon as I said the name, it's like a switch went off. I was just like, he's so well disciplined. He does this, he does that. Yes, he's great under the high ball, but fuck me, holy shit! Like, how is a fullback getting in that much trouble? It's unreal. And I just went off on one for like the full minute on my TikTok video.
Yeah.
So Murray, maybe apart from Liam Williams, who do you think on that question?
Marco Vanapola. Like, how is he? Like, why is he in that team?
Yeah.
And obviously, if Marco was like, basically any of them, if they were all like in good form or showing like what they can do, and even glimpses of it, then fine, I'd understand it. Marco does nothing. Like, even when he's playing well, he doesn't do anything. It's just like it must be a Vanapola mentality. They don't do anything.
They're lazy.
Like, honestly, like, I know it came back to last week if we could have a pick, and I should have done it there. That would have worked. I would have put Joe Marler in. Like, credit to Joe Marler. Most props don't finish 80 minutes. He did 94 minutes in the semi-final. That is what you're wanting on that Lions team.
And then got a helicopter to see his daughter be born.
Oh wow!
Exactly. He's an absolute legend. We all love Joe Marler, regardless of what club you support. Who doesn't love a bit of Joe Marler? But yeah, like, Marco Vanapola is just there because of his name. I think before the Six Nations, Alan Wynne-Jones was going to be there just as namesake, and that's going to be very controversial. But I think, obviously, he's earned it. Like, what he's done in that Six Nations and proven that age is just a number. Fair play to him, fully deserving on that squad. So I wouldn't take him out. Who else? Owen Farrell, like Sean said, I wouldn't have picked Elliot Daly, and I know he's a very versatile player. I think more since he moved to Saracens, he's done absolutely nothing. He's not the Elliot Daly that we've seen at Wasps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's still got the long boot on him. Like I can't take that away from him. But
No,
there's so many games that he either just played really badly or was just sort of there. And I feel like there should have been, like, I know he got hurt, but George North, I think if George North was still fit,
Yeah.
Henry Daly was not going. I think
that was a massive loss for the Lions, North. Every nation was sad when that day happened.
Absolutely. I think if you're looking for versatility and in form, like Simeon said last week, it's Henry Slade.
Fly half, both centres, fullback. He's quick enough to go on the wing if you wanted him to.
Jack Noel's fully fit again.
He plays centre.
Wing. Yeah, he can play centre. Anthony Watson he's already on the tour, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and I think
I would have even put on Jacob Stockdale. I know he hasn't been in the best form either, but
he can play positions.
Fullback, winger. I mean, he's big enough. I could put him in the. I'd put him in the centre.
He's played 13.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, people probably think I'm just bashing Saracens players in England. I'm not. I'm generally not. Like, Owen Farrell on his day is arguably one of the top players in world rugby.
It's just been a while since that's happened.
Yeah, that's all it is. And Mako, I think Mako's been lost since the last tour, and I'm genuinely being honest. Like, that's my big one. That's my big one. Like, I don't like Liam Williams. I think I've made that crystal clear. But I understand why he's on the tour. Even he was in my initial squad. It pains me to do it, but I'm not stupid. So
exactly, yeah.
But Mako Vunipola has just been so lost and out of touch since the 2017 tour to New Zealand. I think Joe Morrow should have been in there. I wouldn't have put Elliot Daly in this year just because of his form. Yeah, they're my two big ones, especially. So, great question, though. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I see what you mean with Conor Murray. I mean, if you went purely on film, you'd bring players like Kieran Hardy in.
Yeah.
But that's one of my little Welsh ones. But you've got a bit of a thing with that. I just don't think the Saracens should have. And I'm not. Again, it's not like I'm Saracens bashing, but why are you bringing players who played awfully in the Six Nations and then are playing against semi-professional teams every week? I don't. I mean, I think they're there for a reason, and I think potentially potentially coaching under Gatlin might make him play on form over Eddie Jones and Saracens being in the Championship. I think if anyone is going to get those players in form, it's Gatlin.
Yeah.
And I think that's so. I think Conor Murray, maybe I kind of always expected him to be there. The Saracens players for sure. And I think that's really. I think people will get annoyed. I think the squad was there for a reason. They've made the right decision. I think we'll say this player should have maybe not been there. Okay, Mako is the one I do really agree with. But no, should not be there. And Farrell, because on versatility and form, there's better players. But I think they are there for a reason, and I think they'll put a good job on. I think they'll put a good show on, and I think it'll be good. But thank you for the question. I think that was a great question. I think we all thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping we continue with this Lions theme as well, just because obviously we're now days. Well, this is on the Sunday, so we're just under a week.
6 days away.
6 days away till Lions versus Japan. I'm already excited. I can't wait.
Exactly.
But I think going forward we are going to be doing a lot of Lion discussion, especially next week. We'll be reviewing the game,
and we will be doing the other internationals coming out in the summer as well. So we'll be able to talk about a lot of.
But we've got, like we've just said, we've got a lot of things coming up. The David Rollo interview comes out on Thursday. I can't hype this up enough. It is so good. For the most part, I feel like I just sat back and let David tell us stories. Like, he is a part of rugby history. He's obviously not talked about as much, and I think that's where we've kind of got a good opportunity with this interview that comes out. That is very untouched product for the most part. We've got the David Rowe interview coming out. We've got more guests lined up. I think we're jam packed now, aren't we? Like till
We're
August.
booked in. We're
For a
booked
while,
in.
yeah.
Granted, we're trying to do guests every fortnight, but even still, like right through to August, considering this is only our third episode. So, like, thank you to like everyone that like is supporting us and commenting and sharing us on like social media and just genuinely getting like excited. And I know there's a lot of questions that keep coming out about a certain guest. I have reached out to him. I'm not naming his name on this, but I have.
You know who we're on about, but we've spoken about him before.
Yeah, we've like every week when we talk, us three talk all the time in a chat, and at least twice a week, this boy's name comes up.
Literally,
and it is a good thing. I have messaged him about it, saying like, look, the people do want you on this show. I mean, we do want him on the show as well. It's just it is finding the right time. And yeah, we've also got like Simeon's got connections with refereeing. Sean knows a lot of great people. I'm trying to get people involved. Just it's trying to figure that out and when suits them. And it's stressful, but it's all worth it, definitely.
So thank you all for listening to the third episode of a Rugby Connection podcast. Next week we'll be coming for the Premiership final and the Top 14 final. And we'll have other little news of the Sevens and the MRL. And we can't wait to talk to you guys about that. And especially the review of the first Lions game. And then building on to our probably next teams for the next Lions games coming up after that. So thank you so much, gents. Thank you for being on again and committing as usual. Yeah, and I hope you all have a great evening.
It's always a pleasure. It's always fun talking to you lads. I said this last week, I will say it again till people get fed up of me saying it. Like, we have only spoke for a month and a half, 2 months at most, the three of us. We've never met. Like, we've not all sat in a room together and like had a drink or whatever, purely probably because of COVID more than anything.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But like the chemistry that the three of us have, like even the Lions squad, like how close me and Simeon were on pretty much having the same squad. Sean wasn't that far off. It's so mad how chemistry, like from three pretty much strangers, work. And the fact that we've got a show together just tells you how much like support we've got on like our own TikTok accounts and all that. So yeah, like you're gonna get bored of us saying thank you, but tough. Like we're not gonna get bored of it.
Absolutely. It's been a lot of fun, lads, and definitely exciting times ahead. So so everyone, thanks a million for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.